Good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. Today's topic: your past will dictate your future. Your past will dictate your future. Now let's just walk through this topic so you will understand from a rational and logical standpoint instead of an irrational and emotional standpoint. Because those of you who are emotional, you're not going to understand this topic. In fact, the emotional people who are going to view this video, you're the ones I'm talking about. But when it comes to your life, and this information was given to me by League of Dads spokesman Chris Smith, and it's actually true. I am going to start off from the infancy stage up to 79 years of age. The reason why, because the average lifespan for a woman is 76, and for men, it is 74. Now, I want to break that down into 4 quarters. Between infancy and 19, you are a child. You're learning from your parents about the world, right and wrong. You're learning manners, etiquette, integrity. And during these years, you're going through the school system, whether it's parochial or public. In other words, you go through elementary, middle or junior high school, then high school. So you are getting laid a foundation to what's going to be expected of you in life. Now, these first 19 years are going to be the only 19 years that you are a child, age-wise, not mind-wise. I said age-wise. Now, going through the second quarter, 20 to 39. That's basically when you're going to take the tools that you were given from the time you were an infant to the progression to a toddler, through your elementary, your middle or junior high school years, and then finally your high school years. That information is going to be used in the second quarter, 20 to 39. Now, 20 to 39 is a very, very crucial quarter of your life, because the first half of that, when you go from 20 to 29, that's when you should have a good understanding of what it is and where you want to go. Because at this time, you're either in the military, you're doing a trade, you're working, or you're in college. Now, some may get married, some may have children. But regardless, this is when you start to see what life is going to throw at you. But when you become 30 to 39, you should already be in your career. Settled down, stable. You have a very good idea of what real decision making is, and you should have maturated. You will still make mistakes, but you still have enough time to correct yourself. But this is the quarter that if you didn't get it between 20 and 39, you could still get it between 40 and 59, but it's going to be tough. It's not unreachable. Because when you're in your 40s, You're going to bring that information, the tools from the 30s into the 40s, and you can still grow. This is when you're going to decide that your children, if you've had children, it's going to be an area where your children are going to grow. Or you may have young children, and that depends on when you have your children in the 30s. And I always say, if you're going to have children in your 30s, let the last child be at 35 years old. That way at 18 years old, you're 53, which is a pretty good age, particularly if you marry late. But when you're in your 40s, you can correct yourself, and you still have time to continue to grow on what you built in the 30s. But the temptation is, now you have some experience in life, and you could go down the wrong road because you're going to have a lot of influences. Not that you didn't in the 20s, because in the 20s you did as well. But when you're 40, this is where you can make a career change. This is where you can still go to school. But when you get between 50 and 59, if you hadn't done anything with your life, then you certainly can do something between 50 and 59, but the likelihood of one person getting a job or a person getting a job becomes slimmer. Why? Because it costs more to have somebody between 50 and 59 employed in the workplace, because health insurance is going to be much higher, because health risks are much higher, and that depends on how you took care of yourself when you were younger. You can still do it, but the window starts to close. And then when you get between 60 and 79, you should be ready to retire, have a nest egg. And if you don't, you're going to be poor. Social Security alone is not going to help you. Anything over 79 is called overtime. And I'm talking about 80 and beyond. Now, if you live 80 and beyond and you kept yourself up from the time you were young, you can live to 100. But if you didn't, I guarantee, if you don't have a mental disorder or psychological disorder, which you get those in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, 70s. You also get them during your single-digit childhood days and your adolescent or your preteen years as well. But generally, for individuals who didn't take care of themselves and they have these mental disorders, there's a likelihood that you can end up in a nursing home. And if your family gets tired of you, they're going to pull the plug. Because it takes a lot to care for somebody, especially if they didn't take care of themselves when time starts to pass. And time passes really quick. So if you didn't take yourself seriously, health-wise, career-wise, and educational-wise, as time continues to pass, it's going to be very difficult. And what makes it difficult the older you are is technology continues to evolve. And if you don't have any idea of how technology works, there's a reason to put you out of the job workforce. Now, that being said, I gave you everything about the quarters of life. Now, why does your past dictate your future? Well, it dictates your future because of how you're going to handle certain situations. And it has an influence on your character and your attitude and how you relate to people and how you take care of yourself health-wise. Generally, a number of us, when we're younger, we really take life for granted and we live for day to day like nothing's going to happen. But the bottom line is, when you don't look into the future, because individuals are blinded, again, when you are about living for the day and not for tomorrow, you don't care, because when you're young, you feel invincible. But at the point where the invincibility is gone, this is when the problems start. But let's say during your young age, and children go through it, a child has been molested, raped, abused. Child's on Ritalin, has ADHD. A child gets pregnant at a young age. In that situation, they're not stable enough to take care of themselves. And they have family who's been helping them. But even with family, that child might have to drop out of school. Now, if they have a good family, that child may not have to drop out of school. But even staying in school, you have situations to where you ran into malicious acts with family. You get pregnant. That's going to affect you all the way up through the timeline. Now, you might not see it, but when you become in your 40s and 50s, this is when it all shows. Why? Because individuals, when they have a bad past, they tend to take that past out on other people. That's why they can't sustain relationships, employment. They don't know how to deal with anybody. They don't even know how to deal with themselves. And what comes out of this, you have a lot of insecurity issues. You have a lot of delusion and paranoia that come out of it. A lot of deception. But most of all, your life is in shambles. And the only way you can get your life out of the predicament is you have to seek help. That help must be sought along the way. And that help must be more than once. Because the help you get is going to help one manage the symptoms. Because the bottom line, if you want to have any success in life, you have to alleviate yourself from all of the pressures or the negative influences that you see on a day-to-day basis. So if you are a man and a woman and you have an irresponsible sex and you continue to have a bunch of babies, that means you didn't learn. And this happened in your past. And what happens when you don't learn? You become systemic. You live for the welfare state. You don't get any better than that. Why? Because number one, you're comfortable. And number two, you don't know any better. Because you didn't get help. You weren't taught. And when you're younger, if you don't have positive influences in your lives, your life is going to suffer. This is why you have individuals who are angry at the world. Individuals who are very insecure about themselves, individuals who were very selfish because they were spoiled. And all this comes from what happened when an individual is younger. And this is why, relationship-wise, and I hate to pick on relationships, but all of us have to relate to individuals at one time or another, whether it's just for friendship, marriage, or any type of partnership. If you don't have a stable mind in life, believe it, you're going to go through issues like stroke, depression, eating disorders. You're going to have a lot of anxiety issues. And if you're trying to have a relationship, that's going to put pressure on the person who doesn't have any of those disorders. Now, I'm not Iyanla Vanzant. Fix your life. What I'm giving you is what has to happen progressively so you don't have a bad life and make poor decisions and not be corrupted when it comes to the negative influences around you. Because you have a number of people who are batshit insane. And in the long run, do those people give a damn about you? No, they don't give a damn about you. Why? Because their lives are in shambles. You look at some of the family members that individuals come from. And again, your past starts with the individuals that you came from. And if you come from an environment that's not stable, you're going to suffer. So when I did videos on delusion and paranoia and what happens from generation to generation, well, a number of people thumbed the video down that I did on building up your mind, emotion clouds critical thinking, and paranoia and delusion. Well, what they didn't understand is that basically comes from being deceived by what you've been fed from the time you were a child to now. And when it comes to self-esteem, if you've gone through a number of bad experiences in life or during your lives, you come up with post-traumatic stress disorder. But unless you take the opportunity to fix the problem, it's going to continue. See, a number of us who are in our 40s and 50s, I'm 52 years old, if you didn't fix your problems in the past, doesn't mean you can't fix them now, but it's going to be a lot more difficult because what happens the older you get stuck in your ways. And if you're really bullheaded, you think everybody else is wrong and you're right. When it's the opposite. You're the one who's wrong. And you're wrong because your life right now is in shambles. But you didn't take any time to do anything about it when you were coming up. And what has happened is, over the years, you made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And when you were younger, you blew your chances at becoming a success. Now, there are exceptions to the rule. What I'm doing is speaking generally. because a generalization is generally true. So on this channel, don't give me the exception to the rule, because everything has an exception to the rule. We know it. What I'm doing is speaking in the plurality, that the generalizations that I'm making when it comes to individuals not utilizing the resources that they had coming up. Doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, you could get some type of resource, whether it's free education or counseling. And if you had good parents who were there for you, who should have been helping you, that could have kept your life on the right path. Now, granted, we all make mistakes. But if you have been listening to this video, everything that I've said is a progression from the time you were born to your time now. And the bottom line is, as you progress in life, you may become smarter and understand that there are evil people out here who are going to influence you with their own belief system to try to take the power away from you. And if you're not educated, you're going to succumb to individuals that are giving you false narratives about how life should be run. We've all fallen to that trap. None of us are invincible. But the bottom line, people who are strong, they're able to get through it because they recognize the problem. And when you recognize your path of progression through life, and you have to openly admit it, because a number of us live in this world of deception. In fact, that's what the United States is. Certainly you can make a good living here, but if you think about it, what's happening in the United States? The media, they have an agenda. Colleges, high schools, they have an agenda. Heck, even your politicians have an agenda. And the agenda is coming from the elitists to try to keep society in suffrage while they benefit. This is why you have all of the debates when it comes to health care, marriage, family. Well, your elites, particularly the ones who are left in the political spectrum, want everybody to suffer. And see, what they do on the left, they cater to your feelings. Sounds so good. But what happens, if your mind is closed, you're going to fall right into the trap and believe what they say. But going through with traumatic events, going back through the progression of life when you as a person went through traumatic events. If these traumatic events are still with you, and they are going to be with you because you're human. However, if you had managed the events properly, they're going to affect you in negative ways. And what's going to happen? They're going to lead you to a state of depression, anxiety, narcissism, delusion, high blood pressure, stroke. And at the end of the day, if you don't take care of what happened to you in the past, you may become suicidal. And not only will you kill yourself, you may harm others. So to sum this video up, if you had bad experiences in the past, it's not too late to fix them, but you have to want to fix them. Because as soon as you recognize that you have issues as a person, you can go on and live a healthy life, no matter what quarter of the period between infancy and 19, 20 to 39, 40 and 59, 60 and 79. You open your mind up, take care of the issues of what happened in the past, you can still live a successful life, because there are people who have. They're the exceptions. So what I'm trying to say, be the exception and not the rule. Get a handle of your life. Because once you do that, and you understand that everybody goes through hardships, utilize the resources, whether it's a doctor, counselor, and you commit yourself to the programs that can help you get through the negativity and start to fill your mind with positivity, only then will you find yourself in a state of evolution. That way, you will get rid of the conformity through indoctrination, and you'll have nonconformity through your own belief system. Because as I said it before, mind is a terrible thing to waste. Your mind is a gift from God. And it's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for this afternoon, Saturday, May 27th, 2017. You can tune in to the 411 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. In about a few hours, I'm going to have a guest host on. He's from Big Body Productions. That's Matt Coley. It's going to be an open mic forum. And then next week, I'm going to do a full show on delusion and paranoia. If you want to get in on the show, guest calling number is 215-383-5785. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube, so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now on this channel, I don't engage in controversy, debates, or emotional issues, nor do I participate in drama or unnecessary bickering. Why? Because it's counterproductive. This channel is here for educational purposes and educational purposes only. And the information that I'm giving you is well researched and taken from my own personal experiences. Because if you don't understand how the real world works, just like I did on the topic today, your past can dictate your future. You will find yourself in peril. And once you find yourself in a state of negativity or peril, when you get a certain age and you start to have your own thoughts and you become stubborn, at that point, you're no longer coachable and you're that old dog. And when you can't teach an old dog new tricks, you put the old dog out to die. So take that warning and understand it. because you only get one life. And once it's gone, you don't come back for a second chance. I'm just sharing that with you because knowledge is power. Everything here is realistic, but positive. And if you have a business, a topic, or a new YouTube channel that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave your comment in the comment section under the video. But make sure that your comments are pithy, no bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering if you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time. My name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other. And have a wonderful and blessed day.